A few days ago, I asked people a simple question. What comes to your mind when you see me? And the responses include bold, courageous, kind, audacious, confident. But I asked, how do they know that? Are they describing what they know about me when they must have interacted with me, or they are describing my clothing, the way I show up, or all the descriptions are assumptions? Whether assumptions or based on questions they asked me, well, those responses and what we know about people before we get to really interact with them is the theme of episode 4, which highlight what do children know. When a child asks, what is that? Do they really want to know, or they are asking questions for them to know? This episode is inspired by, again, Joy's comments about her wanting to know about her father's language and culture, but because there were no detailed responses about the Edo culture, she got to know more about the Yoruba part. That connects to how are we carrying our stories along with our children when they ask questions based on responses we give them. Here is a story, and this story sits with me for a while. On this day in 2026, I was doing my thing as an ESL teacher. Even though the weather seems to be very cold, there's still that part of me that will always want to wear something Nigerian. I went to this class. Remember how we talked about assumptions and asking questions, and that children ask questions, right? On that day, I was in the class and I was just hearing, she's a Nigerian, she's a Nigerian. I didn't know who the children were talking about. But 2 of those students came to me. Mind you, I do not work with those students because they are not in my group. He walked up to me and said, are you a Nigerian? I was shocked when 2 of them came. Remember how we said when children ask questions, they want to know. So instead of answering, we want to tap into their curiosity by also following up with a question. Then I asked, why did you ask? Then 2 of them pointed and said, she said you're a Nigerian because of your pants. Then I went to her like, oh, how did you know? Then she said, I'm also a Nigerian. I have these pants. Then she went into the rabbit hole of how she's gone to Nigeria. She told me about Agere. She told me about Eyo Festival. And she was saying, oh yeah, that's stick. I love the way they move. Personally, beyond the connectedness with the child is how we were also able to quickly build a community with our friends. Just from one ordinary moment of them noticing my outfit. And in full transparency, I have been going to that classroom for over 4 months to pick students on my caseload. And this child never noticed me. But it never occurred to her that I might be a Nigerian. The only thing that connected us that day was just my pants. Let's connect it back to what Joy said. about asking questions, and that how she wants to know more about father's language and culture. If this child in question had not been told or been shown the aspect of Nigerian culture that she knows in terms of the outfits, in terms of the festivals, I wonder if she'll be able to connect with me. And to tell you that we became friends, and this student went home to tell the parents that, oh, I have a Nigerian reading teacher. Initially, she was never on my caseload, but just by the virtue of that, I started like, okay, come, I'll read to you and everything. The parents were a bit skeptical, like, oh, maybe she was making things up. Until one day too, that the parent came to pick the child and she introduced me again. But the highlight of this is not just the connection, but me getting to know more about the child and the child getting to know more about me, because I had to tell her I'm a Yoruba, I'm this, I'm that, and everything. And the subtle nuances of building a community beyond that. Let's look at it from this lens. If they had asked me, are you a Nigerian? And I just said yes, and I move on, what does that mean for that child, or the lessons they learned? Because after that incident, during the reading month, I intentionally picked that class that, yeah, I'll be a guest reader. And I was so happy to read a book to them about Africa stories. Let's connect it to what Dr. Adetoro said in episode 4. Dr. Adetoro was like, oh yeah, tribal mark, our ancestry, our ancestrality, keep sharing the stories. So, like I keep saying, I'm a research practitioner. And one of the elements of ebunlingualism is thinking about family as agbole. Agbole is community. Look at how just pants or outfits generally connected and helped us build an agbole in a classroom, that I was just like, go there, pick a child and leave. Those are the things that ebunlingualism invites us to see. That it takes the village, not just to raise a child, but to acquire knowledge, to build a community, not just the adults, but the children as well. And also, in episode 1, Honorable Egbeyemi commented that silence has language. When we think about silence in language, could it be some semiotics? We also think about paralinguistics. Maybe my silence may just be my outfit, the way I show up. Maybe my silence then just the pants that I wore that the child saw, and boom, the relationship started. Maybe the silence also is from how there were no clear, or there were no really information for Joy to learn more about the culture. And I'm asking today to Joy, will you also be silent in telling your children about your language, about culture, about your trajectory, or you will open up more? As we look at episode 4, here is a reflection and an invitation to us all. In what ways are we moving beyond assumptions to open up our curiosity and learn more about it? In what ways are we, as employers, as teachers, as parents, as human, taking that step to really respond to people's question, to respond to their curiosity? As parents, how are we guiding our children? I would love to hear more. How are the different questions or different assumptions that we make? help us in learning extraordinary lessons? How is silence serving as teaching moment or even no teaching moments? How is Agbole helping us to nurture who we are, to discover ourselves, and even nurture everyone around us, be it children, adults, people whose cultures are different from ours? In what ways are we being really open-minded and moving beyond assumptions? I would love to hear more. Until then, bridging our learning worlds reminds us of ordinary moments that teaches us extraordinary lessons while highlighting language, culture, parenting, and all that we embody. On this note, I would like to say thank you. Ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Gracias. Obrigada. Daalu. Sheshienimen. Asante sana. Jazakallah khairan. Danki. I salute you now.